Hello everyone, my name is Lisa Bridge. The three words that describe me are driven, optimistic and free-spirited. What do I do and why do I do what I do? So, I do lots of different things. I'm a television presenter, I'm a funeral celebrant, and I am an actor as well. So I've spent about 12 years in the West End as a performer, so I'm a singer, dancing and acting in lots of different musicals in the West End in London, which I have absolutely loved. That has always been my passion since the age of 3 when I first went to do ballet lessons. And it has always been my driving force. My ambition was to be on the West End stage as a performer, and I did it. But since then, I've had a little boy. He's 3 years old now, and he's the light of my life. It has been a huge adjustment in having a child. It means that I'm unable to go back to my job that I'm so passionate about. But I've had to adjust, and in adjusting, I've used my skills in another way, and I've become a television presenter. And I've started doing content creation at home as well. What role do you think I have in society as a lady? Oh, it's so tricky, isn't it? I think as a woman, it is difficult in society, I think, to get to the top. That's a real generic sort of way of putting it, but it's hard. I know it is. It is hard for everyone, but I think, especially for women in different cultures as well. I've also started working in corporate businesses, and I also have spoken to women in the business sector, and it is especially difficult for them to climb that corporate business ladder. It's still very male dominated, that industry. Do I see it in theatre? I think it's quite equal in theatre, actually. But what I will say about women working in the theatre industry, if you decide as a woman to have a child, the theatre industry is very, very difficult to get back into. There's not really any job shares. And as a mum, do you really want to be doing 8 shows a week, 6 days a week away from your child and not being able to put them to bed every night? Not really. Some producers have started to do that, but it's not an industry that's really catered to mums, unfortunately. And so that is why I've had to step away for now. Maybe I'll go back in the future. My personal background, so I went to a normal school, and I was really, really lucky because my art teacher used to direct shows at the school. And so we put on big productions at school, which I absolutely loved. I also went to dance classes from the age of 3, and I entered competitions, and I just loved it. And I was very fortunate that my parents pushed that hobby of mine and were able to just about afford dance classes for me. So I was able to do ballet, tap, jazz. I also did piano lessons as well. And I just loved anything really that enabled me to create music. I started singing, having singing lessons at school. And that really sort of nurtured my passion. I then auditioned for Tring Park, which is a school for people going into arts. And so I was very fortunate to get a scholarship there. So I went there for 2 years from age 17 to 18. I then auditioned for a drama school, and I was very fortunate again to get a scholarship there. And I went to Guildford School of Acting for 3 years. And then from there, at my showcase, I got an agent, which enabled me to move to London and start auditioning for shows. But it was, very, very difficult. Lots of rejection, and even now when I'm auditioning for things, there's a lot of rejection that you have to deal with. What's my strongest memory from childhood? Do I think it's had an impact on me? My strongest memory from childhood is quite a sad one, really, when I think about it. I mean, I had a happy childhood. I can't complain. We never went without. we were well looked after. As I said, I went to the dance classes that I went to, and singing, and I was really pushed into my passion. So that and supported. So that was great. But what happened when I was 15 is my parents broke up, and that really did affect me. Luckily, I just threw myself into my education and classes, and I think that actually was my driving force, because everything I knew within my family, when your parents break up and you're sort of caught in the middle of something, and that then was my driving force, and the theatre became my family, my new family. And also, being a Capricorn, I'm a very driven, career driven person, and so yes, that really did sort of shape my life, really. My scariest experience, um scariest experience, I think there's sort of a scale of scary experiences, isn't there? I've had scary experiences where I have had to go on stage for a role that I've been extremely nervous for, and that felt very scary to me. But also, I knew that I wanted to do it, that it was my dream to step out on that stage and do that in front of an audience. So it's one of those. It was more of a nervous feeling, I suppose. Scariest thing was probably more recently, really, giving birth. I found that very daunting, and it wasn't the experience that I had wanted in my mind. I wanted to give birth at home, in a bath, in a very comforting environment, but in the end, my baby was breech, and I had to have a C-section, and so that was quite overwhelming. And then once I gave birth and my husband went back to work, he then had a huge accident at work, and he was very lucky to be alive. And so that was a really scary moment, thinking we I could have lost my husband and the father of my child. Yeah, that was pretty wild. My most embarrassing moment, probably, gosh, my most embarrassing moment probably was a wig slip on stage, when I was in Only Fools and Horses, the musical, and Raquel does this sort of strip, and she takes her hat off, and the entire wig was back here on my head, and it looked like I had one massive forehead, and it was an audience of 1,000 people, and also all of my co-actors on stage were just looking, and I didn't know what happened, really, but they just started laughing on stage, and I was thinking, oh my goodness. So that was quite an embarrassing moment. What makes me angry? What makes me angry is when I'm not believed, and when someone is made fun of. That really makes me angry. Or unfairness. I like things to be fair. And also disrespect. That makes me very angry if I sense someone disrespecting anyone else. It's more if I'm around other people that are getting disrespected. I kind of go into mama bear mode and want to protect those people. That's what really makes me angry. How do I set myself apart from others in the same professional industry as yours? My industry, as an actor and as a presenter as well, I'm self-employed, I'm freelance. There is so many other people out there. It's such a competitive world to be in, and you have to be driven. You have to want it so much. And I think before I had a child, that's what made me successful in the musical theatre world, because I wanted it so much. I had no other distractions. I That was my main focus. But now I've had a baby. He is my main focus now, and my family, my husband and my toddler. So it it's difficult finding that balance. But I think what makes me stand out is that I am very conscious of working hard and putting the work in myself at home. I'm always striving for more. I'm always striving to be the best, and I'm constantly learning. I never stop learning. I'm always watching YouTube videos to learn how other people do it better. I'm also, if I see someone on television or if I see a presenter, I think, oh gosh, I really liked what they did there. I'm just always learning. And I think that's what makes me stand out. I'm also very adaptable. I think because I used to be, well, I still am an actor. So going into the presenting world, what makes me stand out is that I have the ability to be a chameleon. I can be, very emotive and calm, but then I can also be really energetic too. I can adapt myself to whatever the brand wants. And I think that's really important. Do you think at this moment in your life, have you achieved some or everything you desire? If not, what do you think you need to do to get there? So at this point in my life, I'm adjusting to motherhood still. My son is 3 years old, and it has been a massive change for me and my husband, bigger than we ever could have imagined. And I'm still trying to find that balance between motherhood and career. But yes, there are so many more things I want to do and want to achieve together as a family. I want to have more success in my presenting, and I want to do it on a larger scale. And I would really love to go back to some sort of performing again. I really miss, all of those skills that I did before, my singing, my acting, my dancing. I do miss that world. So definitely want to do something in that sort of capacity. But as a family, our dream is to live a bit more rurally and live on the land a little bit and have a bit more passive income, just to be able to not have to work as hard as we do and spend more time as a family. What I love about my work now is that I'm a freelancer. So I choose my hours. What I love about it is that I get to put my son to bed. He is my number one priority, and so I'm able to put him to bed, and that means the world to me. I'm also able to meet so many people. Everything is different. Every job is different that I do. That's what I love. Everything is varied. Because I am one of those people that if I was to sit at a desk every day, I think I'd go mad. So having that sort of creativity and meeting new people and just constantly learning is really, really good. And I love that about my work. What memorable responses have you had from my profession? So yeah, I love it when I really get a good reaction to some presenting that I've done, any content that I filmed. I love it when I get that feedback from audiences, exactly the same way as when I used to perform on stage and I'd get that audience response. But I think the most rewarding thing is, and I touched on it a little bit before, is I'm also a funeral celebrant, and I find that job so rewarding. So for anyone that doesn't know what a funeral celebrant is, that is the person that stands at the front of a funeral service and conducts the service for non-religious services. Even though if you wanted a hymn or the Lord's Prayer, I'm very happy to do that also. But I just love being able to. Well, it's just such a privilege, really, to come into people's lives at that time of grief and mourning and offer them some comfort. And I find it very rewarding to create a completely custom, bespoke service for them, hold them in some safe hands, and be able to allow them to say goodbye in their own way to their loved one. So that is the most rewarding thing, actually. In all of the different jobs that I do, that's very rewarding. How do I balance my professional and personal relationships? Okay, so how do I balance professional and personal relationships? That is a constant struggle, and I think that is just across the board. Anyone really struggles with that. It's really difficult. So my husband works evenings. He works as a production manager for gigs, So he is often out very, very late, and he's been doing really long hours. And we've often just been ships in the night, crossing over and barely seeing each other. And it's been very, very difficult. We've both been adapting to parenthood. We've both been working. We're both wanting to be really good parents. We're both wanting to be really good husband and wife to each other. But it is hard. It's really, really hard. In fact, we've just had our first abroad family holiday, and it was so incredible. We feel so grateful to be have been able to go on that, because it really was healing for us. We really needed it to spend that time together, because this life can be so overwhelming and such a treadmill, always striving. So it just allowed us to sit back and realize, wow, look what we've got. We are so fortunate, and we are so grateful for everything that we've accomplished and everything that we have, and we're just so grateful for it. Successful people that inspire me. I think I'm more kind of inspired by talents as well. So I love Kristen Wiig, comedian. I love Julia Davis. They really inspire me. And I've done some writing actually this year, just based on my experience of becoming a mum and a funeral celebrant. And so talented women like that really inspire me. And also successful entrepreneurs. No one in particular really. Um, yeah, although I do like Jim Carrey, the actor. I just love his sort of outlook on life, and he talks about manifesting a lot. And so I'm really into that. I'm really into manifesting and putting dream boards out and focusing on my goals and imagining everything that I want to be and want to have. What superpower would I have, and why? Um, the superpower I would have is to get every single job that I went for. There are so many jobs that I go for all the time. I'm always auditioning, I'm always interviewing for presenting jobs, for acting jobs. And I just wish that all of those jobs that I taped for, I got, and then it was up to me whether I wanted to do them or not. That would be the dream. Um, what's my dream project? Well, I always wanted to play Mary Poppins in Mary Poppins the musical, but as I've sort of stepped away, and I'm a little bit older now, um, and I'm sort of headed into presenting, I would love to do presenting outdoors, off grid, in nature. I'd love to do a bit more of that really, because I love being out in nature, and so to combine presenting with a nature program would be really ideal. But also, I've always wanted to be in a period drama. So I would also love to act in a period piece too. What's my favourite or most inspirational place? Oh, I've been very lucky to travel to both India. I went to Kerala. I went to Delhi and then went south to Kerala, and there that was so spiritual for me. The people were so beautiful and lovely, and the land was gorgeous, and the food, I just loved everything about it, and that was very inspirational. Along with traveling to Uganda in Africa, that was just such a special trip. Again, the people were beautiful, the land was gorgeous. I could have stayed in both of those places. I really do love traveling and learning about other cultures, and they were both very inspirational trips. In this day and age, April 2026, if I had the power to change things, what would I change? If I had the power to change things in the world, What would I change? Just peace and harmony, man. Peace and harmony. And stopping these large corporations from taking over the world. And I just feel like so many people get taken advantage of, so many people get forgotten about. Um, that I don't know a way out really. I don't know the answer to it. It's a tricky world to live in. So yeah, we just have to be grateful for every day and what we have. The best piece of advice I've been given, and this is a recent piece of advice, so that's why it's sort of in my mind. The best piece of advice someone said to me was, Lisa, dream big. And that seems so simple, doesn't it? But I think sometimes if you've grown up thinking that you only deserve so much, or oh well, we don't do that, or we can't get to that place, or we come from humble background, we can't reach that. I think it's sort of indoctrinated into you that, oh, I don't deserve it, or that's never going to happen to me. But when I was chatting to someone I've met recently, they were like, why do you only want to aim here? Lisa, dream big. You can do that. Why can't you do that? And it really just switched something for me. Why can't I? Why? And I think with anything, it's just what I've learned is it's just all about confidence. If you believe in you, only you can believe in you. You can't ask other people to. If you believe in you strongly enough that you can do something, it will be infectious and other people will come on board and start believing in you too. So dream big. Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope that you've enjoyed my question and answers. I've really enjoyed actually going through these questions because I think it's really important to ask yourself these things every so often and just stop and have a think and assess what's happening in your life and how things are going. And it's really made me feel positive about what I've achieved and what I have and what's really, really important and what I want for my next steps. So I hope that you feel encouraged, and I can't wait to see all your comments.